Welcome to another episode of Bringing Down the Grindhouse, a podcast where we discuss horror in media. And tonight, prepare yourselves as I when to go.
Oh no!
As we we delve into the horror movie Antlers.
Yeah, this episode's cursed for sure.
Oh fuck!
We didn't even do our breathing prior.
Oh yeah, no. Prepare to lose that breath.
No, you bad baby. I'm Mert.
I'm Mitch.
I'm Justine.
And I'm Jonathan.
I'm fucked up over this.
That was a very chaotic intro.
Do we,
yeah.
You just cursed this whole episode.
No,
No, let's
fine.
keep going.
Yeah,
Let's
keep
We
going.
gotta
Let's
keep
going.
rolling with
Yeah,
it.
it's good.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back. Yeah, no, it's a nice little hiatus, a little break.
Yeah, we needed a break. There's a lot going on right now.
A lot
Yeah.
going on in the world. Fucking rest in peace, Gilbert Godfrey.
That's our boy.
Right off the top. Everybody, absolutely everybody devastated.
I'm bummed.
I don't know what was worse, Godfrey or Betty White.
Oh my god, dude. It sucks too because Betty White had just been on TV like days before being like, I'm going to live forever. And
And then
like,
died on New Year's
yeah,
Eve.
we were like, wow, bro, that's not cool.
Yeah, we started the year off rough.
Yeah, holy shit.
I like that somebody brought a Betty White memorial photo to our New Year's
Yeah,
party.
one of our parties.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Shit.
Quality.
Yeah, we're back. Few things came out. Elden Ring came out.
Consumed so much time.
It destroyed my life. I hate everything and everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Expect a segment on it in the future.
Oh dang, we're gonna have a whole segment.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry. Episode.
Oh okay.
Wow,
I was
wow,
like, damn.
whoa,
I was like,
whoa.
you're gonna keep a continuous segment of just like
Fuck that.
fuck everything. This is awful.
No, I love the game. But tonight, why you guys look at me?
Well, you're speaking. What do you mean?
We're talking about Antlers, man.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Before we do that, I want to talk about the dude that review bombed our stuff, which
Yeah.
was
Oh.
so great. Like, honestly, thanks for listening to like 10 plus episodes of the podcast to fully commit a review bomb to us because that shit was hilarious. But he does bring up the good point of box office numbers and the way that they're produced. So it should be noted that when box office numbers are coming together, it doesn't include absolutely everything because the theater takes some revenue from it because they get to show it. So
Yeah.
just because they broke even doesn't necessarily mean they didn't make more money. Some of it got taken by the theater, and it's not adjusted to today's numbers. So the numbers that we read are specifically from that year it was released, and it's not adjusted to inflation. But you know, most people know that. In this case, he was very butthurt about us not knowing that. Well, I knew that. I just assumed everybody else did.
Well, I
Yeah.
guess it was just not mentioning the difference or the details
Right.
between it.
I
but,
guess
you
so.
know.
Either way, it's more just for like a gauge on how popular it was
Yeah.
in like popular media, not necessarily like, oh, was this movie good and
How many
successful?
people were in the chairs?
Yeah, if
you
you want
know.
to really get into that, I highly suggest doing your own research because there's only so much information we can present on this
Yeah.
podcast and so much time we can dedicate to explaining everything.
There is a website called thenumbers.com where you can get a very elaborate breakdown of just how much money each film made. But that's not the point of what we talk about in the podcast. I just wanted to mention it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we bring it up specifically to see how did this movie do in like public perception a little bit, and one
Yeah.
way to do that is to follow the money.
I'm also going to just mention I'm laughing that the guy had to compare every John Carpenter film to Jaws. Pick another movie.
Yeah, really though, like I didn't understand that. Either
It's
way,
okay.
I won't
We love
spend
you.
I won't spend too much time on it. Either way, it was great to read all of the comments.
Yeah, thanks for giving us the listens
Yeah.
and for bombing all of the other podcasts with
Yeah,
listens and
apparently
comments.
he likes to go to podcasts, listen to a few episodes, and then just leave a series of comments.
Specifically
all over it.
horror movie
Yeah,
podcasts.
specifically horror podcasts. I saw a bunch of people responding,
Oh, no.
to him.
I don't want to do that.
getting into like a shouting match. It was so funny. But
Were they typing in all caps?
yeah, literally, like they were like, I saw one podcast that was like, fucking kill yourself. Like, don't go listen to our shit. Like, I do not need you on my stuff. Like, I don't need you at all for a listener. Why are you even wasting your time? It was really funny to go through all of the stuff on
Sounds
there.
like he's just kind of lonely.
Some people forget that the algorithm is God, and your comments just help.
I know,
us.
exactly. I almost wonder if that's like an ulterior motive. Is they're really just trying to support us by
Oh,
causing
man. Right.
controversy?
But all they have is
comments and
negativity.
listens.
I was kind of mad
People
at the
respond
comments.
well to negativity. I'm just saying, as soon as something kind of out there or crazy negative happens, everyone has something to say about it. But if something positive happens, it's like, okay, cool guy. No one cares about it after that.
The comments should have been on like Facebook or like Instagram. I'm kind of mad that they're in SoundCloud where most people won't see them. But if you want to see them, go find our shit on SoundCloud and you can see all the comments and it'll be fun to read
It's
through
quite
them.
amusing, actually.
Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about the production shit for Antlers.
Hello, Antlers. Yes, from 2021.
Yeah.
It was filmed and shot in 2018,
Oh, I didn't know that.
and it was pushed back several times due to COVID and other things.
Oh, that
like
makes sense, actually.
The movie was directed by Scott Cooper. He's known for the films Black Mass in 2015 and Out of the Furnace in
Both
2013.
crime films. So some people criticized the choice of him for director because it seemed that he had a running record of making crime dramas.
Ooh,
So they weren't exactly sure if he'd be able to make a horror film. And that's
Right.
debatable.
yeah. The screenplay was by C. Henry Chasen. Nick Acosta was brought on, and Scott Cooper as well. It is based on The Quiet Boy, which we talked about in a previous episode
Yeah,
by Nick
fantastic
Acosta.
short story.
Yeah, the short story was really well done for being only so many amount of pages, and so we were excited to see this when it came out. I have a frog in my throat. God damn it!
Ribbit.
Ribbit. The movie was also produced by Guillermo del Toro, so he helped pay for a good amount
Just
of
having
this.
his name attached brought a lot of hype
Oh,
around
yeah.
the film.
A lot of
Just
people were
having his
getting it
name.
mixed up that he directed it too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I wish he would have directed it.
It would have been an amazing film if he had brought in his kind of creative ideas for what this could have been. And that's commented on a lot.
Yeah, I honestly was really excited to watch this movie because I thought he was the one directing
Oh,
it.
really? Dang.
Turns out he wasn't, and it shows. But we'll get to that.
The film was primarily shot in British Columbia. It premiered in Los Angeles on October 11th, 2021. It is met with mixed reviews currently right now. So
Yeah.
So one of the biggest criticisms I saw was that the story, the narrative, seems to abandon its atmospheric, like, thriller aspect at the beginning for a creature feature in the last, like, 10 to 15 minutes of the film, where you actually get to see the creature attack people. So they were
Yeah.
like, why spend an hour and a half building this atmospheric story to just blow it up at the end for the creature showing up? And that's, like, the biggest criticism for it.
It kind of mirrors the short story, at least in the beginning of the movie, for sure. It definitely does. I mean, there's a lot of good performances too in this movie. Also, I think that who plays the he's the 15-year-old actor. He plays the little boy.
Jeremy T. Thomas
There
is
you
Lucas
go.
Weaver.
Yeah,
Probably the
I
best
thought-
actor in the film.
No, and for being 15 years old, like
Yeah.
holy shit! Like I was like, yeah, this is a disturbed
Child.
Yeah, exactly.
To round out the rest of the
Yeah,
cast,
go for it.
we have Carrie Russell as Julia Meadows. She's our main character. We have Jesse Plemons as Paul Meadows, which is hilarious because if you don't recognize him, he is in a lot of stuff as a cop, but he primarily played Todd in Breaking Bad.
Yeah, he also is much heavier in this film.
Yeah,
He
Yeah.
gained weight for this role, I think.
I read up on that. So he was gaining weight for another role,
Oh, gotcha.
and they did this in about 3 weeks.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
3 weeks, and he didn't have time to prepare to become
Yeah.
more slimmer for the role.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
That's something I was telling Jonathan about that's just wild to me about certain actors.
Yeah.
Is they're required to build their physique in a certain way in order to portray these characters. So imagine like you spend all of your life working towards like having a lean muscular body and they're like, okay, you need to be overweight for this, so I need you to undo all of the years of work you've been doing. But also to do that so quickly
Yeah.
can be very dangerous.
Oh,
Either
yeah.
gaining or losing weight rapidly is not how your body is supposed to function.
There was that whole season of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where Matt gets fat.
Yeah.
He did it purposely
For
because he said,
real.
I could just do it, and then I'm going to lose all of this and more, and became chiseled as fuck.
That dude got fucking shredded.
Yeah.
After that, like, it's insane how muscular he got after that.
Also, we also have to bring up like Batman and other stuff. But, people
Oh,
do all these things for the superhero
what is
roles
it,
all
Christian
the time.
Bale?
Christian Bale, yeah.
You
Batman
mentioned it.
versus then the Machinist, where he's like skin and bones.
Yeah.
When you see him in Batman, he's big buff man.
I'm mad about how bad The Machinist was. Anyway.
Yeah. We'll talk about that eventually.
Yeah.
So we have Jeremy T.
I'm sorry. Something to mention is Jesse Plemons. That's the dude from the Black Mirror episode, the USS Callister.
Yes.
If you didn't recognize him, and it's the only role that he's won an award for.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
and that one was fucking wild.
Yeah, it's a great episode if you wanted to watch Black Mirror. Technically horror, and I feel like we mentioned it before. In one of the Black Mirror episodes.
We talked about Black Mirror before. It's a very dystopian sort of show.
Did you hear the Black Mirror creator said that he's not making any more episodes because modern life is already fucking terrible enough?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Great.
Yeah, he's like, I can't do it. He's like, there's nothing more terrible than what's happening right now.
Yeah,
and he just stopped.
Now he's gonna start making documentaries.
Damn, can you imagine? Yeah, that was great. Sorry, go ahead.
To finish it off, we have Graham Greene as Warren Stokes, Scott Hayes as Frank Weaver, and Amy Madigan as the principal. It's a small town kind of setup, so you don't really have too much characters. There's some other minor ones in there, but they get eaten.
There's no lady with a Misfits t-shirt smoking a cigarette though, which upset me.
Yeah.
Small details.
So there was a big thing coming into this movie that it was very hyped up because of the Guillermo del Toro credit. Having read and heard the short story, I was expecting to see more faithfulness to it. And so my first critique off the bat is that some things were different, but some things were also added too to give it more character.
Yeah.
I had to say, I think the intro was too long.
Yeah.
It took way too long for her to get there, to like establish who she is, to show why she even gives a fuck about the kid. When you could have started the movie 50 minutes into the movie. You could have started it there.
Maybe a short film?
And had a better film by starting there and then moving forward.
The first hour of the movie, I think, could have been condensed down into 15 minutes, and they could have spent more time developing like the actual action sequences when things start to get more interesting.
I did want to ask though, so obviously the film isn't just about the creature. You have aspects of what it is for how to have like neglectful parents, what is drug abuse, what does that do to your child, and like how they end up having to take care of their parents at some point. So those are like the big metaphors for it. Why do you think they included something like this in a horror film? Like, why even bring these topics together?
I would say probably because the short story already kind of kicks off with the short story itself already kind of kicks off with that idea of, I'm concerned about this potentially abused child that's right here, so I'm going to go investigate it. I mean, that's kind of like, contrary to what you're saying, I didn't actually think that it was too long getting things going. I thought that it kind of just sat there and developed the atmosphere similar to how the story does.
Getting more in the intro.
Yeah. I mean, and also it's got that cool, like, Pacific Northwest vibe going on for it, so it's all foggy. There's trees
I did like
everywhere.
The aesthetics. I like the setting a lot.
The shot. There's some good shots and things in this movie for sure. I know this doesn't. I'm gonna try to go back to answer John's question. Sorry. I think that the movie itself kind of scrapes. Not the movie, but the short story scrapes the surface of like abuse, and then they just kind of go a little bit deeper on that.
Yeah.
On that front, where it's like the father has a drug addiction issue. He separates himself from his kids to save them, but it also hurts them at the same time because they're away from their parent. It's very complicated.
They're dealing with the death of their mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does get at the aspect of not fully blaming the people who are addicted to drugs. It gives the aspect of, they might be aware that they can't stop themselves and will try to help as much as they can. And you do have a glimpse of that when the dad knows he's going to turn and like locks himself in, but then there's not much else that can be done after that.
He's turning basically.
I think something else that this shows really well is sort of the othering that comes from knowing a person who is a drug addict.
Yes.
So when you haven't experienced it yourself, I mean, even if you have experienced it yourself, you kind of look at drug addicts a certain way. Like as soon as you hear like, oh, this person's doing meth, this person's doing heroin, you automatically put them in a certain type of box. And so in this case, like, It's usually the kids, like you had mentioned, that are left to take care of their parents because like they know who they were before that happened, and they still love them.
That's a really good point. A lot of things that don't get talked about, especially because rehabilitation is not really a thing in the United States, just because they want to put you somewhere and then forget about you. So it's like it's done with jails as well. Like they don't want people to get out of jail. So it's like they
profit so much off of jails. Why would you?
Well, you profit off of mental health as well. You get to charge therapy, you get to charge medications, you get to do all sorts of stuff. So they don't really want this person to feel better. But the aspect in the storytelling of that they knew this person before it had happened is really important for the kid.
You have now brought up something that makes me think that this movie is a little bit more deeper than what it's presented as.
Yeah.
So we even get a flashback to what the story of the Wendigo is. I'm going to start saying that.
We don't say the word here.
Yeah, Mitch. Do you want to make a PSA? Make a PSA.
PSA, when it comes to certain cryptids, find another name to call them. Do not call them by their traditional indigenous name. And do not call them by their common name, because that will invoke the spirit into the space.
I like living on the edge.
So we call them Winnebagos, Windy Bagels, anything but the word.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
PSA heard, understood.
Thank you, Justine, for that PSA about Wendigos.
Well,
you're welcome.
So, go ahead.
So this is what I wanted to bring up. There is, in the original tale, basically it was something that the native and indigenous people basically made a story around because people started to eat each other, cannibalize each other in certain tribes, and it also had to do with greed. In some cultures. But this is making a new, different, it's weird because it takes from the indigenous past, but also makes a different spin on it, where the Wendigo bagel is... The Wendigo.
Murray, you're fired.
I know.
Oh, man.
Well, the Wendigo could just be a metaphor for drug abuse and drug addiction, a modern take on the Wendigo.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. It is getting at the idea that there's kind of never enough. You're never going to get enough of whatever you're addicted to.
Right, and that it even hurts more when you think about the end of the series or the end of the story where the teacher has to take out both the father and the son, but
and the Holy
kid
Spirit.
And the kid thinks, no, that's still my dad. That's still my dad. He might have needles in him. He might look like he's scarred and fucked up, but that's still my dad. Because at the end of the day, they're just their parents. They're just going through some shit. Mm-hmm. So this is like it's a bastardization, but it's also a new modern take on it.
Yeah, so one of the strongest criticisms was their side use of an actual Native American character to just give you a little bit of lore, and then you don't see them anymore.
I like that they brought in the native person to give the explanation.
He's the ex-police chief, isn't he?
I believe so. Yeah,
he's the old police chief.
I'm sad that he didn't have a conclusion to his story. He's kind of just there just to be the shaman to give knowledge.
Well, he's
to
like
them.
the warning.
Yeah.
Well, that's the case in a lot of these stories that are centered around a white cast and they have their one token character of color.
Yeah.
Is there always, in a sense, like the magical being that's going to come and save the day for everybody by giving them some valuable knowledge or pointing them in the right direction, and that's all they're good for. In a lot of cases, that comes in the form of the magical black person. You have some sort of witch or shaman lady that shows up and gives the people... brings them in, nurtures them, gives them some good advice, and then you never hear or see from her again because she's just a side character. When, in fact, if it weren't for the indigenous people, they wouldn't have a story at all. I'm just saying.
Yeah, they're pulling from the source without crediting a whole lot to what it originally was.
What I do like is when he sees the drawings, he goes, "Is your son native?" And they're like, "No, that doesn't make sense." He asked, why would a non-native person draw this?
Yeah, right. Which is also suggesting the detachment away from the original idea, which is what you're saying, where I think the writer was adapting it into something that people could relate to for a modern audience, but not necessarily explaining a whole lot of where it came from. And so that's kind of the difference and how some people might feel about it.
Right.
Like this one is particularly interesting for me because I was planning on writing a story about this type of creature. And as I did more research and got to a conclusion that I just wasn't the person to tell the story because I'm not Native American myself. And so I had to abandon the story because I didn't feel like it'd be the right person for it. So at some point, the producers and other people had to be like, is this something that we're going to tell? And then they adapted it to something different, which is what we have in the film.
And you could tell from like production notes that they kind of didn't understand the history a little bit because the director even said, well, we know that with this creature, it has to have horns. It has to have certain types of branches coming from it.
Ooh.
And so
yeah, that's already wrong.
Even from reading that, I was like, we get the original one though, which is great to see. Basically a
do you guys want to hear about
skim milk
the
walker?
Original depiction of a windy bagel?
Yeah, go for it.
So windy bagels are said to be humanoid-like creatures with abnormally long limbs. Their skin is black and slick like oil.
Yeah.
Incredibly skinny. Their voice sounds, they can mimic human sounds, but there is something slightly distorted about their voice. They smell putrid. The air turns cold when they're around, and if you're in the forest and one is around, everything will go silent.
They dampen a lot of the noise.
Because these creatures are considered to be predators, anytime a predator enters a space in a forest, the creatures around go silent because they don't want to get eaten.
I got to give the movie props for bringing the original version on the movie, though.
I mean, sort of. It was like
it's like a metamorphosis.
It goes through a transformation where it literally like bursts out of the dude, which is an interesting aspect of just straight up body horror. But they did get some of the details wrong, and Justine and I were talking about it. The way that the original creature was designed was that it had a heart of ice that had to be torn out and thrown into a fire.
That's what bugged me too.
But it was like scorching hot. When they were like, and that was like a theme of the whole thing where like you saw it glowing inside the chest.
Did it kind of take you out of it?
For me, it did, only because I had done so much research, but to the standard viewer, it wouldn't matter. Like, this is just an aesthetic thing that you did for visuals. So it's not a terrible choice, like if you're going to make something like that for people to watch.
Yeah, for like the general audience, but I do know as of lately, more and more people are getting interested in researching about these certain types of cryptid and Appalachian lore and Navajo lore.
Yeah. So it's not too far off from the original idea. Here. So the original story was created as a warning, so kind of your cautionary tale, to deal especially with greed, but also with the idea of secluding yourself from community and from society. The original idea was that the greed is a thing that you can't get rid of because you're never satisfied. And this transfers directly into the hunger of the creature, where it eats and it feels hungry all the time. There's never enough. So much so that it'll eat its own lips and sometimes its own limbs because it can't get enough meat and things to eat. And so they were essentially warning that if you become greedy for something, whether it's money, power, or any sort of like physical thing, in this case, it's like drug abuse or being addicted to certain substances, then it's just never going to be enough. And so that translates well into the story that's been created now. So it's not too far off, but I don't know if they fully understood that, you know, when they were creating it, like what was sort of the original idea.
There's a couple corpses that got left behind, which doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, you mean like when they're investigating and they're just like, okay, let's leave?
No. Like the creature would eat the bodies.
Yeah.
He wouldn't leave stuff behind.
Oh, yeah, that's also true. It wouldn't pass up on a meal.
I mean, like, I know that this is the thing. With more modern takes, we have the antler version being more popular in media now.
Yeah, that was specifically because of one movie.
Oh, I was going to say, was it because of Hannibal? Or
no, Hannibal was a much later version, and they pulled from, it's like a movie from the 90s or something like that, which popularized the idea of the creature, and they introduced antlers for a visual aspect. And then people were like, yep, that's it. And it became part of like modern interpretation and lore.
Yeah, but it's ironic too, because things that have defensive mechanisms on them, i.e. antlers, are usually herbivores.
Yeah.
These are prey animals, and so it's ironic that it has horns, because that's what prey animals have, but this is not a prey animal, this is a predator.
Yeah, that was brought up several times. One of the explanations from the original director who included antlers for their creature was arguing that whoever becomes one of the creatures is themselves like a victim, and that the disease or whatever is getting attached to their body is preying on them. So that's why they have antlers. it's like it's supposed to show like their innocence and victimhood as far as like what's taking over them. But that was like, I think they were just trying to defend their movie like really hard at some point, because they were like, who the fuck are you telling this story that you know nothing about?
Jeez.
So heavy criticism all around for something like that.
I gotta say, for the movie itself, very good cinematic shots in this.
Yeah, it's a great. So I think some shots were great, but I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of like film 101.
Yeah,
like
you got your dolly shots.
You've got just your standard shots and just about everything. There was kind of not really any unique shots as far as like being able to do unique shots for a horror film. They didn't really have too many.
They didn't do too many jump scares either. They had like one or two.
Yeah,
which I commend them for that. I also really like the soundscape and soundtrack that they made for this, though.
Really atmospheric.
Really atmospheric stuff. So I give points to that.
There's that shot of the cop car driving through the forest.
That's a great shot. Yeah,
I like that one a lot. I like how the lights just kind of fade off into the.
You can't see anything else in the forest besides the road and then the lights coming off the car, which is a good one. So I wanted to ask then, do you guys think the short story version of this is better? Like, did they adapt it well?
I think they got some parts of the story correct, or they did them well. But I think that it does kind of turn into the creature feature sort of thing. But it's like this the adage of like the abuse metaphor.
Was it teacher?
What's that? Well, yeah. Well, there's the one with the teacher and her own past abuse, which I thought personally thought that was one of the most that was a really good interpretation of like showing someone having like a traumatic flashback without being too gross, obnoxious or gross with it, and just being that was still disturbing, but not so much,
They did a lot of implications. They didn't have to show the actual abuse. They just showed that she was hiding.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought it was very creatively done. And I mean, if it isn't fucking weird to see a fully grown 45-year-old man clutching a teddy bear naked in a bed, I mean, that kind of fucked me up a little bit. I was a little upset.
Yeah, big time.
That upset me. I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, if the hand wavering thing wasn't enough to make you feel weird.
Yeah, for real. She also responds a lot in real time to her brother being nearby, and he's like, "What's going on?" He doesn't understand that being close to her or even placing his hand on her might be something that's triggering for her. So all these interpretations were pretty accurate as far as how somebody might be dealing with trauma after.
And I think that well, yeah, when we're discussing those sort of things, they got down the caring teacher character idea for her. I think, because she doesn't let anyone tell her, no, don't help this kid. She doesn't let anyone tell her that. She says, no, fuck you, I'm gonna go deal with this because so awesome. I liked that. I thought that really captured the character from the short story. I think Lucas, the actor that plays Lucas, does a really good job as well of playing that, demented.
What a great child actor.
He's 15.
It's so good that at some points I'm like, is this kid okay?
Is he actually okay? He's gonna leave this movie and have a whole crisis.
Yeah, it's not gonna be like the kid from the Babadook who was straight up protected from things. They weren't actually yelling at this kid; they're yelling at some other adult. So it's I do wonder what kind of precautions they might have taken for a young child actor in something like this. But
I'm gonna tell you what they did. They put him in makeup.
Yeah, right. Literally, he has the fucking death 1,000 yard stare down of just staring into the fucking abyss of just trauma. He's not doing well. So a great child actor.
My dad is a zombie.
what I want to bring up is, if you never heard or read the short story, that if on the surface for that first hour, you're probably thinking that the kid is a serial killer or will become a serial killer.
Something is up, right? Yeah.
Because he keeps grabbing dead animals. He kills skunks.
Yeah, the way they played out is really I know, yeah, it had all of the little animals that were just roadkill and stuff that he was bringing in. Then he cut it up himself. and fed it. Like he put it in like a fucking takeaway box.
Like I remember specifically some of like the grisly descriptions that were in the short story itself, like describing corpses that look like they're wrapped up like bubble wrap.
Yeah, they got wrunged out, and that was not really included.
I mean, no, they have that one corpse that's at the what do you call it? That's
the one that got exploded.
Yeah, but that one looks all like kind of twisted and stuff like that too. Like it looks like crazy and malformed, and I was like, good. Like that was like
he
good.
Was like half
I'm glad.
Eaten.
Yeah, exactly. and like, but like also kind of twisted. And so I was like, all right, no, this is a good interpretation of what the story was kind of going for with like what happens to the people after. I still think everyone should have died at the end of this movie, though.
I'll get into
for
that.
For some reason, I do too.
Yeah, I just feel like
same.
That's just how it should have vibed. But
comparisons to the novel, I will say that it is great to see the cop character hear about all these deaths in real time on screen.
Yeah,
because you could see the stress on his face, and he plays a small town cop pretty well. Yeah, for someone that just doesn't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, they have. So whenever they're creating cops from a small town, they have the small wiggle room to make them a likable character because they aren't part of a large police force. Right. So most of the time they know everybody and are very invested in helping out whoever is in the town.
And this is probably a town that they grew up in.
Yeah, he said it. He grew up there.
Yeah, they're brother and sister
this isn't
too.
Just some guy from the department store. That's Tom.
Yeah,
Tom is dead.
Yeah, so he's very much meant to be a protective character, but he's so helpless through the whole thing because like he cannot do anything about it.
I'm surprised they didn't call any higher ups. The U.S. National Guard or some dumb shit.
Yeah, there's kind of this like small bubble that they're existing in that doesn't really call in too many people.
But here's what I was gonna get to. It didn't have it in the short story, so I understand why. But also, like for me, I think I really wanted to see three things. I wanted to hear Linda listening to the Vandals and getting eaten.
Oh,
because
man,
she's the punk rock chick that lives across the street from her teacher counterpart. No pizza boy delivery scene.
Yeah.
Dude.
Whack.
That was the worst. Like, not like we don't even get it. Like nothing. They didn't order pizza. So I was like, dude, is this guy going to get messed up? Never happened. And three, it's the ending. I like that the short story ends on a somber note where everyone just gets eaten.
Yeah, everybody's done. They kind of wanted to set themselves up for like a sequel, probably. I don't know if maybe that was just like very optimistic thinking they were going to get money for a new film.
It's maybe that, but I also think that maybe like your general populace wants a happy ending. They want to see a hero triumph against the big monster thing. And
but
that's
I mean,
kind
he's
of like
sick himself though at the end. Like he's going to turn into it.
Yeah. It's a bittersweet ending.
Yeah.
He even foreshadows it. He's just like, could you imagine killing someone of your own? And then he just like starts coughing up the blood.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, this is also very cliche.
Yeah.
To be like, and then he doesn't tell anybody.
I just noticed something too, going back to the drug addict metaphor. It's kind of talking about how you pass along these things to your children through exposure.
Oh yeah, because it's usually it's like in your genes sometimes.
Sometimes, but I say it more has to do with the way that you were raised.
Oh,
like
I see.
It's more of a nurture than nature thing when
Gotcha.
it comes to addiction. But I mean, it's such a difficult cycle to break when you're raised by addicts and you're around addicts all the time. It's commonplace to become one yourself in some sense.
More metaphors on this is the conquering of your abuse trauma as well. Like
for the kid.
For the kid. I mean, there's like the one that watched it all. He was able to break free from it. She is able to fight back against her own abuse in some like reverse.
Yeah,
form.
she has a very literal fight.
Yeah, like a literal fight with it, and then it's like the dad wasn't able to overcome it, and his youngest son wasn't able to overcome it.
Yeah,
either.
Interesting.
And then these interactions affect the Tom.
So then, what were like some of your favorite things about the film? Whether it's cinematography, a certain shot, the script.
I like the creature. I don't. I like that they use practical effects as well as CGI in a mix. Except for the ending when she's battling it because they couldn't get that. But I don't like that we see the creature.
Same. This has the effects that Insidious had.
Yeah.
Where it was amazing film until you see it. And it kind of throws out the like mystical aspect of the unseen creature.
I do really love the entire sequence where they go up into the attic and they find the husk with the bones in it still.
Great.
That is a great visualization, and I give props to the prop department.
Yeah, they also didn't know what the fuck to do. Like, the guy shows up and he's like, "What the fuck is this?" And he's like, "Yo, it looks like something exploded out of this."
Yeah.
And they're like, "It did what?" They don't know. They don't know what to do with a body like that.
Explode out of stuff.
Good gore in this movie. I gotta give
some good gore.
Some stars to that.
I really like. I just like the creature design in general that they did for this one. Like, especially like there's like one where like the dad face is still hanging onto its
so
jaw.
Fucked up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and it's still just hanging on.
It like carves off the face and then like drapes it.
No.
Very delicately too.
Love that.
It even turns to her with the thing on it, and then it takes it off like, "Oh, I'm gonna get a new face." And after it sees her, and then it goes to fight, and it's really a crazy thing.
Sorry, the water thing did a thing. We're good though. Good take.
And start.
Do you have any favorite stuff, scenes, things?
Just the overall cinematography. I really like how they
nice.
Captured that
Solid.
sort of gloomy, moist atmosphere of the PNW.
Everything was wet.
PNW look.
Yeah. Big forest, desolate depression.
Now let me
fog everywhere.
Fog.
Now let me tell you something.
Everyone looks grim and tired.
Now
I love it.
Now let me tell you something. There was a little movie made here in this exact location about 40 years, 50 years back. A little movie called Rambo: First Blood. Same place.
Oh, it was in British Columbia, or
it's in the same town as Rambo: First Blood.
Oh, wow, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know how to feel about that.
So could we just put it in the same universe that Rambo fucked up the town in the 80s, and then this bagel comes out of nowhere?
I love that Rambo is really just him going nuts and killing like so many innocent men at some point who are like not directly involved with what had happened.
Oh, the best part of that movie is just like, these cops keep fucking with me. I'm a vet. God damn it.
Yeah, literally, that's the whole thing. So then, before I go off on a Rambo fucking tangent about stuff like that, what would you rate it then?
I'm gonna give it a solid 7.
That's where I sit.
Like
too,
just a 7.
For this one. Yeah.
I thought it could have been better. Could have stayed more faithful to the page. I think it could have been a short film.
Yeah, honestly, they should have adapted it into a short film, and I think it would have fucking swept at the festivals if this had been a short film that was well funded and produced by Guillermo del Toro, because like he believed in the story, so it would have been something that was well funded. You would have had more money than you needed for the short film, and I think it probably would have done better as that in that sort of medium.
I definitely agree with you. I think that there's just a tone and like just a vibe with the short story that the movie just doesn't quite carry all the way through.
Yeah,
agreed. Yeah, I probably would give it a 6 because I do feel like the movie just sort of dragged at some point, and it's really difficult to turn a short story into a full-length movie.
It is, yeah.
And I think the problem, too, is they wanted to include everything as it was in the short story. Not everything, but I wish that there was more time maybe spent getting into the lore, developing certain sequences a little bit more, rather than going with everything kind of line by line and giving you all the mundane details and spending really a whole hour of the movie like getting into the good stuff. Like if this was cut down to a good 30, 45 minutes, I think it would have been golden. But I was genuinely bored throughout most of this movie.
I'm going to give it a 5.
Nice.
For the specific reason that I fell asleep towards the end of the film because it was so boring to me. And not because the film is not creative. I think it's just because they spent a lot of time going one way and then chose to go a different direction towards the end, which is not cool. In my opinion and takes on things, if you're going to commit to something, commit to it. And do that through the whole film.
It wasn't like there was a good build up to the end. It just kind of appeared.
It just happens.
There was no like hinting, no foreshadowing. It just kind of went that way.
Yeah.
All in the last couple of minutes.
There was sort of like, you did get to see the killings and the bodies and stuff like that. But as far as how they wrapped it up, I think it was a case of not being well adapted to a longer version of itself.
I mean, I feel like the pandemic might also play into that somehow.
Yeah.
Where it's just we need to get this thing done,
It
so
could
we're
be.
just gonna fucking just move it along, get it done. You know. Sort of
As
thing.
far as visual aesthetics, it's gorgeous. It's a really nice movie. As far as they knew how to use the camera, they knew how to use lighting. The set they chose, the area that they're shooting in, is like perfect for this kind of story. So as far as like putting it all together and bringing it to the right spot, and their child actor, all really good.
Yeah,
and
it has all the ingredients for a really good movie, and I'm convinced there's a very solid movie in there.
Yeah.
I just think that there's a little bit of chuff and a little bit of stuff that needs to be changed.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, any final thoughts then?
Read The Quiet Boy by Nick Acosta.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely, give that a read.
And if you're coming to this review of Antlers and don't know what it is, go check out our episode on it as well. All right, I'll do the outro then.
Yeah.
It's been quite some time since we've done the outro. 7 weeks, couple trippings of drugs. I mean, research.
Say that on podcast.
Research chemicals.
For legal purposes, this is a joke.
Yeah, this is a joke. I pet a lot of cats. I did a lot of things. I played a lot of Elden Ring. But now, you're back for the Myrrh outro.
So what do we got for our people today, Myrrh? What do we have?
Well, check it out. We have the Discord.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that's
right. Go join the Discord. It's fucking chaos.
Join the Discord, involve in the chaos, talk about films, tell us where we went wrong on certain episodes.
Argue with us.
About everything. Don't be a bitch. Yeah, tell us you love us. I don't know. Oh, we also every week now, it seems, we have been streaming.
Oh,
on our Twitch.
Oh, we have a Twitch now.
Yeah, we have a Twitch, as well as John has his own little channel where we basically stream video games. They could be horror related or not.
I'll definitely be doing more during the summer.
Something to look forward to in the future is we're going to be streaming our podcast recordings so everyone can see what really goes down in the studio apartment.
Yeah, you can see us all vape and knock over the water bottle mid-session.
Yeah, you can see the cat do things, you know? And who doesn't love watching cats do things?
You might spot one of our cats.
Also, if you join our Discord, you could also join us for movie night, which we will be starting soon.
Yeah, where we will be streaming the movies we're reviewing.
Yeah, the actual movies we're talking about.
Also, we have our Teespring, where you could basically get some merch from us. It helps pay for the podcast and all of our funds, as well as our Patreon, which gives you access to our bonus content.
Are you trying to tell me people can send us money?
Yeah.
Holy
monthly
shit.
Monthly.
On a monthly basis?
Or on a one-time payment for like a hat or a shirt.
I've been on this podcast for like 3 years, and I've had no idea that people could send us money.
Yeah. And if
That's wild.
This is your first time checking us out, I highly recommend you check out our social medias.
Yeah.
We got the Twitters, the Facebooks, and the Instagrams.
Holy shit.
Where you could directly message us if you have concerns, or you could basically just get updated whenever we have new episodes. If you also want to get updated, follow us on Spotify and give us a review on Apple Podcasts. Tell us how we're doing and hang out with us.
You can also do reviews on Spotify.
What?
Yeah. You can give ratings to podcasts on Spotify.
Give ratings, not a review.
Not a review ratings, sorry.
So leave us a nice
nice rating.
Give us a nice rating.
This is news to me.
Give us a humble little 3.5 out of 5.
Maybe we'll give you a little something in return.
We're going to be coming back to our schedule. Things will be going smoothly as possible.
Yeah.
Thank you for bearing with us while we were on our 7-week hiatus. We love you all.
Bye.
I'm Mitch.
I'm Murr.
I'm Justine.
And I'm Jonathan. Thank you.
Nice.